What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Entertainment Channel, guys. Today is Wednesday, June 11th. If you haven't already guessed it, I'm going to be talking about my Chicago Cubs today, guys. We actually lost today 7-2, dropped 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. So going to talk a little bit about the Phillies series. Quick recap on the last week. We lost to the Phillies 2 out of 3, lost 2 out of 3 to the Tigers. So a lot of people worried. Twitter, things start popping off after you lose a couple of series. So I'm also going to talk about 3 reasons why I think you should not be worried about the Chicago Cubs. Twitter, everybody, that's kind of the way the news works now. People freak out, get all bent out of shape over everything. But going to give you guys 3 reasons why you should not be worried about the Chicago Cubs, especially not right now. Then lastly, I'm going to talk about just some different lineup ideas. I mean, we're one of the best records in the league, still at the top of our division, towards the top of the NL standings. But there's still a lot of talk going on like, what can we do to switch up the lineup? Does PCA need to get moved up? Does Ian Happ need to get moved down? What can we do to kind of shake things up? Obviously, now we're getting into June, middle of the season, where things like this start to come up. Maybe the news or people are just running out of things to talk about. We're going to go over some of those lineup ideas because I do think some of them are kind of valid. And take a look at what Mark Derosa talked about, what I think we could do with the lineups. But let's go ahead and just get started on a quick update where things stand for the Chicago Cubbies as of today. So before I talk about any of the other games, let's look at today's game. So they dropped a game 7-2. They're in Philadelphia. Offense kind of pretty much non-existent. We got 1 run in the 4th, 1 run in the 8th, and we were down early. Went down right away. First inning, we were down 3-0. You got a little bit of everything. They break it down for you pretty good here on ESPN. So just a little bit of everything, man. We've had some struggles, or not us, but Ben Brown struggled in the first inning. Hasn't done too much good work. Gave up those 3 runs, and it was just kind of dinking and dunking. Baum grounded out. Turner scored. Kepler doubled. Schwarber scored. Infield single. Kepler scored. And then Kyle Schwarber, man, former Chicago Cub, one of my favorite Cubs of all time, especially during that 2016 championship run that we had when the Cubs won their first World Series. Brought me to quick tears. That's why I paused. I was like, man, we won. It's already been 9 years. Crazy. But he homered against us today. And that's his 21st home run of the season. And just really offense didn't come out to play, guys. Luzardo just been dogging against the Chicago Cubs. I saw some stats on Twitter showing his last 5 games against us where he's absolutely dominated. Today he had 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts, which is pretty wild, especially for this Chicago Cubs team. Even though we do have one of the most high-powered offenses, a lot of our guys are still always making contact, good at taking walks, like Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker. So 10 strikeouts, no walks, just a dominant performance by Luzardo. So besides today, though, that, like I said, that gets us 2 out of 3 losses. So they lost 7-2 today to the Phillies. Second series in a row, the Cubs have lost 2 out of 3. They got yesterday's game against the Phillies, lost today, had a chance to win the series, but they did lose to the Tigers as well over the weekend, losing 2 out of 3. Today's game ended their 9-game road trip. They were 4-5 on the road trip, so 4 wins, 5 losses. They'll be back in Chicago tomorrow, right away back at it, hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates for a 4-game series this weekend. And they're back at home now until June 22nd. So they're on the road a week and a half, 2 weeks. Now they're back at home, and they'll be home for another 11 days. They're going to feed off the Wrigley crowd. I'm not buying into any of the hate that I'm seeing on Twitter. But one similarity in those 4 losses, and obviously you got to score runs to win. The offense didn't really put up a lot of runs in these games. In the 5 losses they had 0 runs, 1 run, 0, 3, and 2 runs. So those 5 losses, they had a combined 6 runs scored. That's really not going to cut it. I mean, today the Phillies scored 7 and beat us 7-2. But can't be too worried. Offense is still number 1 run differential in the National League. We're still tied for the best run differential in all of the MLB at plus 113. So that means we've scored 113 more runs than we've given up, which is why we have 41 wins at this point in the season. So a couple of series losses, man, you can't really get too bent out of shape about it. Obviously, people start, getting all worried because the Tigers right now, best record in the MLB or in the AL especially. And the Phillies, another really good team, second right now in the NL East. So you lose 2 of these series, I could see why people start to get worried, why people start to freak out. But I don't really think I feel the same way as them, guys. It's the middle of the season right now. Let me move. I got a little wire covering up my stats. It's the middle of the season, guys. If you're worried right now, before I even get into like the reasons why you should worry, because I'm going to talk about 3 reasons. One thing for sure is that it's just we're only in June. I mean, real games, playoffs, excuse me. Playoffs don't start until what, September, October. So you still got 3 more months. And in sports and baseball, anything, you rather right now maybe be a time where you're not as hot, you're not in that streak, you get in a little bit of a funk. You rather have that happen in June, early July, let us figure it out, make some lineup changes, make some adjustments. Jed Hoyer's already talking about, we're looking at starting pitching, we're looking at bullpen pitching. So it's definitely way too early in the season to freak out. Yeah, do I wish we won every series possible, every game? Yeah, but no team's ever gone 162-0, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think sometimes it is a little bit just of the inexperience, seeing what could happen with some of these young guys with the lineup itself. Today, PCA sat out, so Brujan was in, batting 9th. And you expect that a little bit right now, too, in the middle of the season. We're getting some guys some days of rest. A lot of them have played the majority of the games unless they've been injured. Kyle Tucker missed a couple games with some different sprains. PCA's played almost the majority of every game. Ian Happ sat out for a little bit after getting injured. But Seya's been in almost every game. And Mike Shaw, as he comes up, plays in almost every game. Amaya's out, but you got Carson Kelly that's been there since the start of the year. So you're going to expect to kind of see some of these days off, some of these games where, the lineup looks a little bit different in terms of what you expect on obviously a day where we're going to aim to win it all and a playoff lineup. So it's days like today, I don't expect to see Brujan in center the majority of the season. Obviously, that's PCA spot. So we'll see how things shake out on that side. But let's talk about it a little bit, why you shouldn't be worried. So these are 3 reasons why I don't think you should be worried right now about the Chicago Cubs. Number 1, let's go here. We're in that little camera. I got to go. I need you guys to see me. I don't want to be this little box down here in the corner. Hey, guys, can you hear me? I'm back here. I'm in the big boy leagues. All right, so let's go. Let's start it over from the top, guys. I got to make sure everybody hears me out there. These are 3 reasons why you should not be worried about the Chicago Cubs. So number 1, we're still first in the NL Central. I mean, obviously, want to have the best record in the Central, want to have the best record in the NL, want to have the best record in all of Major League Baseball. But most importantly, we stay at the top of our division. We're going to get into the playoffs. We have a chance to set our rotation, not have to worry about a wild card game. And at the end of the day, we haven't won the division since 2020. So we're still number 1. I wouldn't be worried too much. That's what matters. That's kind of that first task we have on par for 2025. Number 2, we haven't had our ace. Justin Steele, if you remember, if you think he's the ace, he's already out for the season. Shota Imanaga, he's been out since May 5th. He is starting to get warmed up, getting ready to come back through some simulation innings, some simulation games, but he's still a couple of weeks away from returning. And then number 3, a big weakness of ours the last few seasons, even the beginning of this year, maybe dating back to April, was our bullpen. This bullpen has been absolutely on fire. They have a .82 ERA since May 24th. So them holding up the back end of the bullpen is exactly what we needed. We're still looking at getting more relief pitching. We're still looking to make more moves. But I think that's a reason you shouldn't be worried about the Cubs. So let's go over them real quick, then I'll go in a little bit more depth. 3 reasons why you should not be worried about the Chicago Cubs just yet. Number 1, we're still first in the NL Central. We're up 5 games on the Cardinals, 5.5 games on the Brewers. And I think the first goal of this season for the Cubbies is win that NL Central, bring the division back home for the first time since 2020 and really set ourselves up for a real shot in the playoffs. Reason number 2, we haven't had an ace. Justin Steele, he's out for the season. Shota Imanaga, who many argue is also our ace, he's been out since May 5th. And he's not set to return for a couple of weeks. So despite not having our 2 best pitchers, we're still first in the Central, still one of the best teams in all of the MLB. So once we get Shota back, maybe add another arm, there'll be nothing to worry about up on the north side. Number 3, last reason you should not be worried about the Cubs, the bullpen has been on fire, guys. It's been one of our biggest weaknesses the last couple of seasons, even to start the year. But since May 24th, the bullpen has a .82 ERA. You heard me correctly, under a 1 earned run average per game. And finally, what we need to back that offense up, put up all these big numbers, we just need somebody at the bullpen to not blow the lead. And that's exactly what this bullpen's been doing. So the 3 reasons, we're still first in the NL Central. We haven't even had an ace, and we're first in the Central, one of the best teams in the league. And then last but not least, one of our biggest weaknesses to start the season, the bullpen now has a .82 ERA since May 24th. So if you're worried over there about the Cubbies, I need you to chill out, take your hat off, get some air, get a little bit of water, maybe go get a little spliffy action, and calm down, guys. If you're not a toker or a smoker, go get yourself a little wine, a little red, a little white, pour it up, take a chill pill, guys, because the Cubbies were doing just fine. 41-27, got a above 500 on the road, above 500 record at home. And the bullpen, man, what we're still talking about getting people in, but bullpen has been a lot better than expected, and been lights out since May 24th. .82 ERA, guys. Nobody else is doing that right now around the league. And let's take a look. I'm going to pull up some tweets here. And this gives you an idea. Just with Pomeranz, Thielbar, Keller, and Flexen, which is a crazy Raw Sports name, this season they have a 1.22 ERA. That's in 88.2 innings pitched, and have a .461 on base plus slugging percentage. They've given up 0 home runs. And I just spoke horrible English, so apologize. But you take a look at these stats right here for Pomeranz, Thielbar, Keller, and Flexen. They've been lights out, guys. No home runs, 1.22 ERA, and that's an 88.2 innings pitched. And Flexen, they're all Flexen. That's a raw-ass last name for a sports player. So shout out to Flexen. He got that cool-ass name. Everybody else, Pomeranz, sounds like a dog name. Thielbar, I don't know what that sounds like. Keller makes me think of Full House. I think they were Fullers, but shout out to the bullpen. Some of these names you probably don't even know of if you're not watching the Cubbies, if you're not a big fan. But they've been doing their thing and holding us down. And shout out to Christopher Kamka. And these are some of the other players. And this is back to yesterday, so obviously today's game not included. But you see all of the bullpen, man. The highest ERA, Presley, 3.96. But Palencia's been great. Thielbar, Pomeranz, Flexen, Keller. Honestly, the majority of the bullpen has been pretty damn good this season. And something that I've thought of as a weakness for us, finally starting to, pull its weight. And we'll see what the front office could do. They're already talking about bringing in relievers, looking at some starters. I definitely think we need a lefty in the starting pitching rotation right now, pretty much down to, I can't think of his name right now. We have one lefty starting until Imanaga gets back. But shout out to the Cubs bullpen, man. Something that's been a weakness for us, finally turning it around, finally giving us a good reason to be excited once the starters come out of the game. And these are some highlights right here. You see that right there. Pomeranz, go crazy. With the 20 vote. The best bullpen, .82, 8 earned runs in 87.2 innings over their last 24 games going back to May 14th. So shout out to the bullpen, man. And they don't have Daniel Palencia in there. We going to the ship. What? We going to the ship. We going to the ship. What? If you don't know either, this movie was filmed in Chicago. It was on the south side, so probably more like a White Sox type of movie. But Cubbies, we going to the ship. Shout out to Keanu Reeves. Shout out to the Cucumbas. We go into the ship. What? We go into the ship. So let me know what you guys think about the bullpen, man. .82 ERA is actually insane. So those games I talked about, we scored 0-1, 0-3, 2. At least the bullpen's not blowing the game. We've seen that in the past a lot where we're up 5-2, 5-3. The bullpen comes in. Things fall apart. So I'm happy to see that that's kind of come. That trend seems like it's ending this year, or at least so far this season. But Flexen, man, I wish I had that cool ass name. I would be out there every time you get to strike out. You got to hit the John Wall. Hit the John Wall. I'm probably old showing that age. John Wall hasn't been in the league in a minute, but shout out to John Wall. Woo! June 11th, guys. It's getting hot now in Chicago too. So that's another thing. Offense has been doing all of this, and we haven't even had good weather. Can you imagine getting a little warmer at Wrigley? The air is getting a little bit easier for the ball to get through. I'm imagining a lot of home runs this season. So if we're leading the league right now in RBIs, might want to go see that boost up. So last thing, all right, we talked about some of the week they had, talked about some reasons why you shouldn't be worried. And besides those reasons, like I said, we're in the middle of the season, guys. You rather have a downtime right now. The last thing I would want is us to just kill it all season, go into, September with one of the best records in the MLB, most hyped up offenses, and then we hit like a skid. Right now is a good time where I think you got to, ride out this funk, see what adjustments we can make, see who we could bring in, whether it's through trades, whether we bring anybody up through the farm system. But maybe there could be some room for some lineup changes And that kind of drags me right in to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which are some potential lineup changes going around by Mark Derosa. So Mark Derosa, if you guys don't remember, former Chicago Cub. He did play with a bunch of different teams in the MLB. He's been retired for a minute now, but he's on the MLB Network. I really like a lot of his commentary, a lot of his analysis that he makes. But what he talked about mainly is he wants to see Pete Crow Armstrong leading off at the top of the lineup. But some of the stuff that he shows, it kind of goes against why PCA probably hasn't been at the top of the lineup. And let me zoom in. It's kind of hard to see this. I'm not going to show the whole video, but here's some of the stats. If you want to see the video, check out MLB Network Twitter. Shout out to them for some of their good content. But PCA, you take a look right here. In all of the MLB, can't even talk. That's how you're trying to go too fast. So Pete Crow Armstrong, PCA, these are some of his swing decision stats. And you need a minimum of 175 plate appearances to count towards this. But chase rate, as far as, swinging and chasing pitches outside the zone, he has a third highest rate. In zone swing, so swinging at strikes, 81.9, the highest rate. First pitch swing, he's swinging at over 50.5%, which are at fifth highest rate in the MLB. And then just straight up swing rate, he's swinging 61.7% of the time, which is the highest rate in the MLB. So a lot of these numbers probably tell you that, hey, he shouldn't be at the top of the lineup. But when he talks about it, when you watch the Cubs, you see his speed, you see how much he makes contact, even with a lot of these different stats, is I think, too, that he needs to be at the top of the lineup. So analytics, sometimes they might tell you one thing, and these analytics probably definitely say don't put PC at the top of the lineup. But I'd still like to lean a little bit towards Manalytics. And I think when you watch him, you see his speed. You see the way that he puts the ball in play. I think he would do a lot of damage at the top of the lineup. The only weakness for sure would be that he doesn't take a lot of pitches. I think he had like one walk in the last month or something crazy like that. So he needs to see more pitches, take more walks. But I think if he's at the top of the lineup, he would make a slight adjustment towards that. And I really don't think you want him to change anything. If he's getting on base, then who needs a walk if you're still going to get on? So that's what I think. I think he will move up eventually. And then is this kind of the proposed starting lineup that Mark Derosa gave? So Mark Derosa, he's saying, or this is what the analytics say should be the lineup, is this one. So you see him down here, and I hate analytics, like all based on numbers. Makes sense a little bit, but I like old school baseball too. You need numbers with the eye test. Numbers with the eye test, every sport. Analytics is too much. I think you always need the numbers. You need the numbers, you need the mans, you need the analytics with the manalytics. You need that little cohesiveness. But this is what DeRosa says the starting lineup should be. He's saying PCA leading off, Matt Shaw at 2, Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, Ian Happ, Michael Busch, Dansby Swanson, Carson Kelly, then Nico Horner, in terms of what he thinks our best starting lineup would be for the good game. So just kind of looking at it, number one, like I said, I do really like PCA leading off. I think his speed, the way that he just kind of electrifies the crowd, gets everybody going into it. Can't imagine him leading off with like a double, a triple, a home run. I would just automatically get stuff going. And I really do think he would change his approach. So I know we looked at some of those stats. High swing rate, doesn't take anything, doesn't even look at things that are, even if they're outside of the box, he's still swinging, whatever. But I still think he would change up a little bit of that approach and probably take some more pitches. And for Matt Shaw at 2, I think it's way too early, guys. I mean, he's been doing great. His defense is incredible, but I think he still needs some more time just to, get going. Even for PCA, that's what makes me nervous about moving him up is like, hey, they're just in their real first full season, just starting to get things going. And they're like, all right, now we're going to throw it at the top of the lineup. But I guess if you're going to do it, right now's the time. They'll get a couple months to adjust. But I still think Matt Shaw needs to stay a little bit back. Another big thing for sure, though, is Carson Kelly, 100%. Get Carson Kelly's ass to the bottom of the lineup. He was raking the first month of the season. They had him in the cleanup spot when he's in. Then now they got him in the 5th spot. Bring him down, guys. Come on. Let's be realistic about who he is. If he hits great at the 8 or 9 spot, which I think 8 more because I want a guy with maybe some speed at 9. But at 8, then so be it. That's a plus for us. But expecting Carson Kelly to be your cleanup hitter, your 5 hitter in the middle of the lineup, those days are over, guys. Drop him in the bottom of the lineup. Let's do the right thing. I'm tired of seeing him in the cleanup spot or even at 5th. Too much for me there. So what I would do, to be honest with you, my starting lineup, I'd go PCA leading off. I think Ian Happ in the 2-hole, I really like him there. For big reason is that he's a switch hitter, so he could either stay lefty, go righty, get us an advantage. And the thing with Ian Happ is a lot more patient. So let's say you do have PCA leading off. Let's say PCA swings at the first hit or first pitch, whether he gets a hit or he gets out. Ian Happ comes up next. You know, Ian's going to take a couple pitches, and boom, it's like we have another leadoff guy at 2. And then if PCA gets on, you know, Ian Happ is always willing to do what it takes to get him over to the next base, whether that's getting a hit, poking it the other way, laying down a bunt, which we probably wouldn't ask him to do a lot, or driving him in. I think PCA 1, Ian Happ 2 would be such a perfect combo at the top of our lineup in terms of just having that lefty to start it off. Ian Happ, switch hitter. He can go righty or lefty depending on the pitching matchup. And if PCA gets too aggressive, gets out really early with only maybe seeing 1 or 2 pitches, you know Ian will come up, take a couple pitches, get into the groove. So you kind of have like 2 leadoff guys right at the top of the lineup. So I'd go PCA 1, Ian Happ 2, Kyle Tucker 3, Seiya at 4. I'd go Michael Busch at 5, Dansby Swanson 6. Then I'd go with Shaw, Kelly, and then Horner to kind of have even another leadoff guy right at the bottom of the lineup that, you know, is always willing to do what it takes to get on base. So I really liked it. For my first 5, PCA lefty, Happ switch hitter, Kyle Tucker lefty, Seiya righty, Michael Busch lefty, Swanson righty. I really like having that versatility in terms of righty lefty, having a switch hitter in there. I think that's really important too towards the end of the game when, you know, you're bringing in a relief pitcher. You can't just bring in a lefty to face 2 or 3 guys in a row. You can't bring in a righty to face these guys, especially for the top of the lineup. Your first 5, 6 batters having that, you know, alteration in terms of lefty batter, righty batter makes it a lot harder for the opposing coach to, you know, make those changes, limits the amount of pitching changes he can make because he's not going to want to bring in a lefty, bring in a righty if he's got to face another lefty right after that. So I think this would probably be one of our more optimal lineups. So I think PCA leading off, Ian Happ in the 2-hole, Tucker at 3, Seiya cleaning up, Busch at 5, Swanson at 6, Shaw at 7, Kelly at 8, Nico Horner at 9. I think that's a World Series championship type of lineup. So let me know what you guys think, man. Does PCA need to get moved to the top of the lineup? Do we need to see that speed, that just straight up electricity at the top? I think you do move PCA up to 1. I would say bat Ian Happ number 2. You got that explosive craziness from PCA number 1. He could hit a home run on 1 pitch. Maybe he can ground out at 1 pitch. But then you got Ian Happ coming up behind him in that 2-hole. Very patient. He could start off the game all over again, whether it's a home run or a ground out with 1 pitch from PCA. So let me know what you guys think about the starting lineup, guys. I'm not worried right now about the Cubbies. Yeah, we lost 4 out of 5. Yeah, we're 5-5 in our last 10, but we're still number 1 in the Central. Still got the best run differential in all of the National League. And there's still a lot of good, positive things happening up on the north side of Chicago, guys. But big series this weekend against Pittsburgh. Not really. Pittsburgh, horrible record, but we got to win them all. Paul Skeens in Wrigley Friday against Cade Horton. 2 really good young pitchers. Obviously, Skeens way better than Horton, at least so far. I'll keep my hope out for Horton. But shout out to the Cubbies, guys. Let me know what you guys think. If you're still here, you're a real one. Make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment, hit subscribe. It helps me grow the Amp Farm, helps me get the content out there, guys. We got to get everybody talking with the entertainment on the Chicago Cubs, NBA, everything. Tonight's game 3 of the finals, so keep your eyes open for a video tomorrow on a recap. And I think Pacers are going to go up 2-1, but I still think Thunder will probably come back and win the series. But we'll come back to this, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks for coming through. Remember, you always got to go crazy. Don't be lazy, and don't be doing nothing fugazi. Deuces.